Told me something the other day. He said Tommy's gonna go play in Tampa Bay. What do you think of that?
So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back for the second episode of the newly named From the Bench podcast. So my name's Eric. If you haven't met my co-host yet, this is Trevor Ward.
T-Rev.
Old T-Rev. Obviously this has been a crazy week, but we'll get into a couple things here. First thing we're going to get into, obviously, we won't do a whole lot of virus talk.
Pointless.
Yeah, because everyone's kind of beat it, and then just,
For good reason.
But we'll just, for good reason, exactly. But we'll move on from that, but we'll talk about that for just a minute. And then we don't really have a whole lot of, we always said we're not just going to be a football podcast or a hockey podcast, we're going to be a sports podcast. When there's no sports being played,
She's on pause, Haas.
yeah, kind of hard to talk about other sports when every other sport is on pause and they don't really have anything else going on. But luckily for us, it is NFL free agency, and there has been a whole lot going on. So
Comings and goings.
yeah, so we'll be talking about the trades that have happened. We're going to highlight two teams that we think that did pretty good today and yesterday. We're going to go through personal favorite signings, figure out where Cam's going. That's a spoiler. Jameis, I think, is the only quarterback left off our board from last week that hasn't been signed anywhere or potentially signed anywhere. And then we're going to dive into the QBs that did get signed and where they went. Spoiler, there was one big name that went somewhere nobody expected. So anyway, so for the virus talk, obviously very serious. Everyone should be kind of keeping the personal space, everything else. Trevor and I obviously, are not at this point. We're across the table. We're keeping the distance. I think this is like...
Oh, we're not in each other's personal space.
This is like we're a meter apart from each other, so I think we're good at this point.
We're sitting back from each other. I can't reach out and grab you.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So for last week, we went to a hockey game last Wednesday, the local Moncton Wildcats. Went and watched that game. Went and watched them win. They won 3-0. It was exciting.
who are they playing? Get it out there.
The Eagles. Okay,
There you go.
They won 3-0. Everyone was super excited because it seems like it's their year. Come back home, and all of a sudden you see that the Utah Jazz game has been canceled because of Rudy Gobert had coronavirus. So
Tested positive.
scary stuff. They automatically pretty much said they're shutting down the league for the year, the season for that. They're gonna put it on pause. And NHL came out the next day. They put it on pause.
Yeah, they said something about 30 days, and then
Yeah.
they're gonna go from there.
They're gonna try to figure it out. Obviously, this is a learning curve for a lot of these leagues. This is kind of unprecedented at this time.
For a whole continent.
For everybody, right? For a lot of the world. We haven't really had to deal with a lot of this in, especially the social media era, to this extent. So, local sports got all shut down.
Pandemic.
Businesses, everything's been shut down now, essentially. It is what it is. We're not going to get into that too much.
If you're a sports fan, it's the end of the world. I'm just kidding.
I
Seriously.
shared in my personal profile earlier. I was watching marble racing, and it was my heart racing. I was like, oh, thank you. That we
I already told Eric a spoiler alert. I watched the Game 7 last year from Vegas and San Jose. Let me tell you, that's hockey.
That is hockey. We watched a couple, old games, everything else, but trying to bide the time. It is something right now for us, though. But like I said, we're going to get into the NFL, the gridiron, since we don't really have a whole lot to talk about with the NHL, NBA, or anything else. Free agency. The conversation period opened up on Monday, and instantly we had some pretty big signings and stuff. But first, we're going to get into the trades. So we're going to put on the cleats, get onto the gridiron. And the first trade, actually this happened a couple weeks back, but it's for my personal team, the LA Chargers. They traded Russell Okung for Trey Turner, the guard for Carolina, which That's just wild to me.
Two older guard or
Players.
older
Yeah.
linemen that are established, both Pro Bowlers,
100%.
multiple times. So what do you got? What do you think? Who won the trade?
I think the Chargers won this by a landslide. From listening to anybody, any of the Chargers fans, any of the Panthers fans, any just football fans in general, Russell Okung's been hurt constantly over the last 2 years. Yeah, you know,
Over his career, really.
Well, over his career, and then last year he was pretty good for a lot of it.
Mind you, he's had a decent career. Like, I'm not bagging on him.
100%, right? So at the end of the day, he's done well. But Trey Turner really is going to come in there and solidify the center of that line for us. Try to help out the guards. Guards were essentially our whole line last year was just in shambles. So to see kind of any kind of help, any kind of guy that comes in to actually can solidify that, it's kind of awesome. So
Help out.
I think the Chargers won that in a landslide. Like I said, nobody can kind of figure out why they did it, but anyways, I'll take it. So from there, we had a couple other trades. So then the big one happened, and got everybody
Which
going.
one? You mean the shocking one? Is that the one you're?
The shocking
the big
one is DeAndre Hopkins.
Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah, that one. So the one that has everyone wondering what's going on with Bill O'Brien. So you got Hopkins going with a fourth.
All right, I'm gonna pose this to you though.
Okay.
Who are your top three guys? Is Hopkins one of them receivers? Like right off the top of your head, give me three.
He'd be up there. I don't know if he'd be three, but he's.
Now Eric's got nothing written down. This is me posing a question to him.
At any
so.
point, he can go up and down.
Is he in your top three though? Wide receivers, right off the top of your head. Who do you got?
He'd be. It's Julio's got to be one. Michael Thomas
Julio's my
two.
number one. That's a given.
Julio, Michael Thomas is right there though too.
Exactly. That's my number two. So my number three is Hopkins. So Eric just named essentially, and this is off script. We got nothing written down. He just named the three guys that I'd give to you. So he's slowing down a little bit, Hopkins, like speed wise. I want to say that, but it's also hard to judge that because he's in the slot so much.
Yeah.
This year, which I did like by Bill O'Brien. You're seeing it now with when Antonio Brown played for New England. Bad example, but like you're just seeing Julio Jones, great example right there.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas. These guys are getting better matchups now by putting them in the slot, and if you're a receiver, an elite receiver, you can handle it.
100%. So, but we saw DeAndre Hopkins going with a fourth from Houston over to the Arizona Cardinals. They're sending back David Johnson, the one-time fantasy superstar running back who's kind of ran into some injuries, and then last year kind of
he's been hurt. He's been hurt the last couple of years.
100%. And they also sent back a second and a fourth next year. So to me, like in everybody else, everyone's kind of wondering like what is going on here. DeAndre Hopkins was essentially the only commonplace there. You're trying to help Deshaun Watson, your young superstar quarterback.
Well, essentially it's his blanket.
100%.
Right? He's throwing, but they've helped each other out during their careers. Like he's throwing 50-50 balls. As a fan, I love it because it just shows you how good Hopkins is.
And that's
it. And
he
right? Comes down with
he does right.
95% of them. So
that's it all day long, right? So which is kind of wild. You get David Johnson who can do stuff out of the backfield. He can.
Which I've told you, I still believe in him. I don't know if he's a top 10 fantasy back anymore or whatever, but he can catch the ball. People, he doesn't get enough credit that way. We're gonna see what he's got next year, or this season coming up here.
Yeah, maybe
maybe he just needed a new place to go.
And sometimes that he got that injury 2 years ago, maybe last year. A lot of these injuries, a lot of people don't remember, is that they almost become 2-year injuries before you're really back.
Ligaments and stuff too, yeah, for sure. Especially
so maybe maybe this is it. It's still hard because you have Will Fuller there, Fuller's amazing, out of Notre Dame. But the problem with Fuller is he can't stay healthy. So. Hopkins is that guy.
But it's an interesting trade from Houston's standpoint.
And they didn't want to pay Hopkins as half it, right? So.
Well, yeah, they didn't want to give him an extension. He wanted an extension. He's still got a couple of years left on his deal. I know Johnson. He's got I think he's at 10 this year, 10 million.
Yeah.
And then he's cuts down the following year. So he's still got term on his deal. People are like, maybe you're overpaying him, but they could probably afford to overpay him this year, and then it becomes more manageable for them. Naturally, they trade Hopkins, so they go sign Cobb from Dallas, and the old receiver from Green Bay. Everybody knows where he made his hay.
Yeah.
I saw that coming clearly. Like, you lose a big stud like that, but that's not filling no void. Like,
no.
First of all, Cobb can't even stay on the field.
No, and that's part of it, right?
What are you going to get, 6 games this year?
And that's one of those things, right? So
12,
what do you get out of him? A lot of people said, like, are you going to get a better receiver with the second round pick that they got?
Is there going to be a receiver there? There will be a receiver there.
And this is supposed to be deep. I know I heard something.
But they still have Fuller, right?
Yeah, they still got Fuller, but like I said,
he's a 50-50 though. Like he catches ball and then he doesn't.
Yeah, and like I said, he's also never healthy, right? So
so
who would you give the trade to if you had to pick a winner today? Obviously, a lot of these trades you don't know the winner until 5 years down.
Can I go negative a little bit on Arizona for a minute?
Yeah.
Arizona, you go get another playmaker, which is awesome. Especially if you're that young quarterback, Murray, over there. The only thing I don't like about this trade is Arizona's line was horrible last year, and this does not help their line.
No.
So maybe they're going to address that some in the draft. Who knows? Or maybe they're not done in free agency. But, help that quarterback out by keeping him upright and looking downfield and not running for his life.
It's one of those things.
But, the best player in this deal is going to Arizona. So
we'll give them the nod. And you're giving them an elite wide receiver. You're pairing with Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk. There's so many other. They took like 3 receivers last year in that draft. Trying to give him as many weapons as possible. So I guess, like I said, at the end of the day, we'll sit back, wait to see what it is, see what they kind of can pull out for him.
Put it together in the field.
But I think as of right now, I think Arizona won the trade.
They did get the best player.
Yeah, which is usually how we kind of,
with the track record,
do these right away.
Houston too, Bill O'Brien, like they're giving him a hard time, but he got 2 picks here, and they traded away a lot of picks in this draft, so I think that's also a big part of it. So.
Well, yeah, you bring in, Larry
but there's
Tunsil.
no first rounder there.
No, you bring in Tunsil, you traded for other guys, you gave up a lot of guys, so trying to get back a little bit of
in a second draft. and a fourth, there's no guarantee you land good pick, like maybe depth guys, but there's no guarantee either of them are studs. Exactly, that's what I'm saying with starters. So moving on, what do you got for the next trade?
The next trade, this one came in late last night. Diggs made a tweet yesterday or an Instagram post, can't remember. Kind of said new beginnings or whatever. So Diggs got traded from Minnesota over to Buffalo. Buffalo sends back a first-round pick this year, a fifth-round pick this year, a sixth-round pick this year, and a fourth-round pick next year. So they got a big haul. A lot of people instantly said, if that's what you got for Diggs, how didn't you get that for Hopkins? Diggs is a very good receiver. Obviously he's known for his, miracle, Minneapolis miracle, whatever you want to call it.
For sure. A little bit younger than Hopkins.
100%. So it's one of those things. Now, so Minnesota gets rid of him. He kind of seemed to be just always being vocal. Maybe that's how he tries to get the ball more. But Buffalo,
they were a little frustrated this year, and they've got talent all over the place on their offense there in Minnesota. So maybe it was just time. One of those cases where he needed a fresh start. A little frustration got the better of him. And
it's one of those things. They have Thielen, so it's not like they're down.
And they're trying to sign Cook to an extension.
Exactly, right? So you can only sign so many guys. So this way they're getting some young guys in there. They can kind of build up that team again a little bit. And for Buffalo, you give Josh Allen.
Oh, he's a beauty, man. That was a steal last year. One of the steals in free agency last year. So they signed Josh. Sorry. Oh, you're talking about the quarterback. I'm talking about Josh, the receiver, Josh Brown. Sorry. I'm just saying, John Brown. Sorry. So John Brown, man, what a steal.
Once again, everybody, going back to Trevor's thing with names.
My bad. It's gonna happen at least every podcast. But he was a steal.
Yeah.
They got him for 3 years. He was a deep threat for him. So just imagine now you're adding this weapon.
You throw him, he's the second or third.
Josh Allen's got a cannon.
And hopefully he can kind of bring that cannon so it can fit within a 5-yard bubble.
Big year for the Bills. It's going to be his third year starting.
100%.
They got a young running back who I really like. Is it Singletary?
Yep.
He's a beauty. I'd like them to add another running back there, a little more depth there. But man, their line seems to be trending the right way. They're pretty good. They're physical.
Their defense
is. They've lost some guys due to free agency, but like anything, they've gained as well.
Yep. So but Diggs is, like I said, essentially he's the number one receiver. It's what you need.
You should open the running game up too. That's just gonna
everything. So
in theory, people.
The Bills are gonna try to contend here. They're going to try to take that division. So next trade up, we have Hayden Hurst. This one's kind of makes me scratch my head. Hayden Hurst from the Baltimore Ravens and a 4th-round pick this year to the Atlanta Falcons for a 2nd round and a 5th round. So Hayden Hurst was a 1st-round pick 2 years ago. Highly coveted tight end. He was, I think the number 1 tight end in that draft.
One of them is definitely right up there.
But he's done nothing.
They haven't given him great opportunity though.
But every other tight end's done very well with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, they played Andrews. They have Andrews, and isn't there one more they've got? Who Andrews, I believe, was a 1st-round pick as well. The year after, or the year.
He was I think he was a higher round pick, but it's just,
he was first. Don't quote me on that. Yeah. He's high.
Yeah, it was one of those things. It's just odd. Like, how do you give up a 2nd for Hurst, who hasn't really done anything? I understand he has potential, but how does that help the Falcons? I understand
they still get him on a rookie deal,
yeah.
which I think is a big. They must like him over the guys in the draft this year.
I guess, but like
he's still got lots of potential and he's young. So
I think you'll be able to find somebody else. But anyways, maybe they just think in their system they can kind of throw him with Julio, throw him with Calvin Ridley and Matt Ryan.
That's just it, right? And you got the veteran quarterback and Matt Ryan, who makes anybody look like a genius.
Yeah, I think the Ravens kind of stole that one. Got rid of the guy that isn't producing for them. They don't need him. He's the third tight end and gets a 2nd back. That's crazy. So
that's great. That's great business there.
Great business. One that Trevor's all jacked up. So Trevor's super jacked up about this one from the moment it came across the trade wire. Calais Campbell is going over for a 5th.
Okay, so people like Calais Campbell starting his career off. It was Arizona, wasn't it, Eric?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was a beauty there, and he was on some not really good teams. Let's just be honest about it, but he was a great leader.
The Cardinals have been so up and down since forever. But yeah, he plays inside, he plays out. Now, obviously, later on in his career, he's kind of moved a lot more.
It's sad with Jacksonville's become a tire sale. Man, I didn't see this coming with Jacksonville, but I love this trade. I love this trade for the Ravens. I want to get that out there for a 5th. You're not going to get somebody better than... he's got some tread left on the tire. He's a leader. He's a great tackle. He's a great football player. Great pro.
100%. He's a pro's pro, and you got to bring a lot to that locker room too. Which for a 5th, right?
You're laughing.
They got a 5th back from the Falcons for Hayden Hurst. So.
Tackles have been big this year too.
Yeah. So and it's one of those things. I think he's just going to do a lot for that. Let's also not pass over that Jacksonville has been a tire fire for every year.
They got all kinds of picks, but man, they just got that great defense. I don't even. Oh man, they might have stumbled upon a quarterback last year, and then they just totally got their defense. It's kind of frustrating, but it is what it is.
Wait and see. And then
thank God I'm not a Jacksonville fan.
I think we all. I don't know if they really. I shouldn't even say that. I'm a Chargers fan, so I shouldn't be mocking anybody's fan base. So the last trade that we kind of have highlighted here is Buckner. He's getting traded from the Niners, gets traded over to Indianapolis Colts for the number 13 overall pick in this year's draft. So that's huge.
Didn't see that one coming.
No, but you know what? At the end of the day,
I like it though.
They really like it. I like it for both teams, to be honest. They have a wealth of riches over there.
The Colts have done the last 2 years have been crazy drafts for them. They've got 3 or 4 starters out of both drafts.
Well, you get Quentin Nelson, you get Darius Leonard, you get all these guys that have done so well for them.
They got a really good young defense. It's crazy.
And that's it, right? So that line, everything else.
Their offensive line is unreal.
You're adding a bona fide. This guy was a captain at 25, which you don't usually see on the defense. Usually that's kind of for older players or whatnot. He goes in there, he becomes a captain at 25. So they know they're getting a pro. They know they're getting a guy that's obviously well liked in the locker room.
Former Oregon Duck.
Like I said, it's one of those things. Now you go the other way. Eric Armstead obviously stayed with the Niners. They re-signed him.
Yeah,
they kind of picked him over Buckner.
Well, they couldn't pay them both, and they both got paid.
And you get Nick Bosa. You have so many guys.
Buckner, to hear my notes, man, he's making $21 million a year.
Yeah. So as soon as they got him, they re-signed him, right? So that's one of those things that's crazy, but I like it for both teams. That's obviously going to change. Last week we had Jordan Love going to the Colts at 13.
Definitely not going to happen.
Not going to happen now.
What do you? This is random. This is off the script too. So Eric, what do you think What do you think the 49ers are going to take at pick 13? Just throw something out there, position-wise.
You almost think that they grab a lineman. Joe Staley's not getting.
They could. There's gonna be somebody good there.
You think that might be maybe somebody there. A lot of people have talked.
There'll be good cornerbacks there.
I've also seen stuff about receivers, trying to add another receiver. But
they could, yeah.
If it was me, I'd almost the running game's so good. Joe Staley's not getting any younger. Try to grab a good lineman. And
they'll have the pick at that
and
number.
hope, right? Because you never know injuries. O-line depth, you can never have enough O-line depth. And like I said, you're just kind of building for the heir apparent to Joe Staley. So
I think you hit it on the money. If I was going to put my money on anything, I can't see them. Part of me wants to say, yeah, they'll jump at one of those receivers there. But part of me really thinks that you just traded a really good tackle or defensive end, wherever they want to play him, but they're probably going to tackle. Why not go right there?
100%.
Because they've got all that line is really young and they're not really, well, now they're paying one of them, but why not go there again?
There you go. So we're going to transition now over into teams that made a big splash. I know these are teams that at some points have been, the laughing stock. Terrible laughing stock of, the league. One being the Browns. So the Browns, one thing I didn't like that the Browns did last year is they trade for Olivier Vernon. They give up a guard, after...
Give them the best tackle.
No, it was the guard last year.
Was it the guard?
Yeah. And so they trade him, and all of a sudden, this year, Baker Mayfield's running for his life.
He had no time back there.
No time. So the first thing they do, they go out yesterday, and they grab the best right tackle in free agency, Jack Conklin, for $42 million. I think it's a great signing.
Oh yeah, 30 guaranteed for 3 years.
Yeah.
So if you're Jack Conklin, man, money in the bank. So this puts him. He'll be a free agent when he's 28 years old again. You're laughing.
Just laughing.
Show me the money, boy.
He's so young. Then they go out and grab Austin Hooper for 4 years, and he's just essentially he was the best tight end available. Because there's a couple other guys, Hunter Henry at the franchise tag and stuff like that.
He's getting paid like the best in the league right now. We don't have the numbers in front of me for him, but we know it's a 4-year deal. But he is going to be the highest paid tight end in the league.
Which is...
I like him. I think he's underrated. He can block, he can catch. He's versatile, but he's not the best guy in the league. We'll just get that out in my opinion.
George Kittle is in the last year of his rookie contract.
Hurts.
Next year, he's like, cha-ching, I got this. So... get him, and then they add a veteran quarterback behind Baker, who's obviously the main guy, but you get Case Keenum in there. You just get a veteran. You just get a guy that
I like it.
Knows what he's doing, which you can't complain, right? So that's awesome for him.
Push him a little bit, competition. Baker's, he's got a little bit of growing up to do. I think he's got all kinds of crazy talent. I think he's going to be a good leader, but they got to stop. Having a parade at a head coach there and at GM, we just got to get some continuity in that. They made a lot of nice moves,
and that's the thing, right? So I think you keep on looking at the line here come for next year. Last year they kind of walked out as if they're going to win the Super Bowl. It kind of reminded me of
Odell.
You remember the Eagles a couple of years back when they had the dream team.
Who's the other Georgia back there? Chubb. Oh man!
So you had so many guys, but really a lot of these games are won in the trenches. Quarterback's not going to succeed if he's on his back.
I couldn't agree more with you, but with the Browns, a little bit that had to do with Kitchens. Help the quarterback out here. Some of the play calling. First of all, they were underrated when it came to the run. They were one of the
100%.
They were one of the best running teams last year. Well, why didn't you feed the beast they call Chubb? Come on, man. Help make her out.
And OBJ is going to be healthy this year. He played injured all last year. So I think they're...
Yeah, and that was a core injury, they said, so that's hard to play through.
You're telling a guy that he's going to be, and he didn't miss any time. He played all 16 games injured, still put up decent numbers, but you can tell he's kind of bothered by it all year. So
if I understood right, I think it was something like a sports hernia or something like that. Or something around those lines.
Yeah, I can't remember, but it was obviously serious. So see him get back, it should make a big difference.
100%.
And so the team that was supposed to be a tire fire last year, and ended up being respectable at the end of it. All credit out to Flores over at the Dolphins. So they came out and they said, like, look, we are poised and we're making a run at that division. So they grabbed the best corner available today, before the free agency.
Yes.
They signed Byron Jones. They signed former Patriot Kyle Van Noy, Emmanuel Ogba, Shaq Lawson, Jordan Howard, and they grabbed a lineman too. They grabbed Eric Flowers. Not a big Eric Flowers fan.
But he's an upgrade for them. Like, can you at least say that?
He's an NFL player, and that's kind of the only thing you got to go up by, right? So, but yeah, so they're making a run for it. And
let's dig into Miami somewhat.
And you know what, they had, they were supposed to be. Some people thought they never won a game last year.
They trended up towards the end of the year,
and then at the end
they
of the
had
year,
no talent towards the end of the year.
And
like,
they
not
tried
crazy.
they traded Tunsil. They have a ton of picks.
Who they trade to Pittsburgh?
Mika Fitzpatrick.
Oh my God, he was a beauty too.
So you get right there. You get 2 firsts from those trades. So they get 3 first-round picks this year, and kind of like we said last week is they kind of took a seat back last year. They said, look, we're not going to try to do anything. We're gonna be bad, and we don't care if we're bad. We're gonna trade some guys, and that's okay. Because why are we trying to compete right now? Tom Brady's in the division. We are screwed. And they went out and they said, you know what? Now is the time to strike. We have all this cap space. We have all this room to grab all these guys. And to be honest, I don't think Byron Jones was a big contract.
Was enough. 82.5
Kyle Van Noy, also a big contract.
51 mil.
But
4 years.
But it's which is
the
big.
other two got almost the same. So Shaq Lawson and Eric Flowers.
Yep.
$30 million over 3 years.
That seems to be a very.
That's decent, yeah, and that is.
Did you
what's going on here?
I haven't seen as many there's the amount of 3 years, $30 million contracts I've seen come across the wire in the last 2 days is ridiculous. I don't know what is going on. I know a lot of it's CBA and stuff. And their contract and negotiations with I think TV deals and everything is supposed to be up in 3 years. That's why a lot of guys are doing it, hoping that essentially the price is going to go up in a couple of years. But 3 years, 30 seems to be the most common contract I've ever seen.
I think it's good for both sides. It's reasonable. What's that?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Manageable. That's it's not ridiculous. That's what I like about it. But. All right, so so I'm going to talk about Howard for a minute.
Yep.
I think this is a good call for both sides here, Howard and Miami. Reason being is, on Howard's side here, all of a sudden the market is flooded with
running backs.
With running backs that got a little bit of tread off their tires. Howard still got lots of lap, man. He didn't get that many carries last year. He can still. He's an excellent. You're 5 yards away. Hand him the ball, man. He's just power back. He can catch the ball too. He's underrated that way. Anyways, for 2 years at $10 million a year, great deal. And this way, Miami, if they do, I'm hoping they still do. And I believe, Eric, you believe this too, that they will take one of the premium backs in this draft early.
I don't.
You don't think that?
I don't think that at all.
I'm hoping.
I think. See, I look at the Dolphins. I think they grab a quarterback, either Tua or Herbert.
So you're going to take a quarterback. I agree with them. The first pick will be a quarterback.
Then I think you either grab a receiver, and then I think you grab a lineman. I think that's the way you do it. And then I think maybe I'm not a big guy when it comes to drafting running backs in the first anymore. I think a lot of these guys, you look at some of the big names, they're taking the third, the fourth, the odd time the second. Yes, obviously, Barkley's amazing. Yes, Zeke's amazing. There's some amazing running backs. Amazing running backs don't, secure games for you.
They can. They
can. But you look at it, there's the chance of you getting hurt at running back are so much more,
So true, but you can say that about a lot of positions.
I know.
If you touch the ball.
It's just one of those things, right? So
I disagree with them. If you there's a guy there and you think he's above the rest and he's your man, take him in the first round.
Yeah, I think it's just too high. I think they have too many other holes that.
There's a Georgia back there, boy. Woo!
Listen, okay.
He'd look great in Miami colors, wouldn't he? Huh?
Calm down, the Georgia backs.
Some of the best backs in the league right now, Georgia backs.
100%. So
Fact.
Is that what? Do you have anything else to say about the Dolphins or
Dolphins?
It's good time for Cody.
I really like one of our really good friends. He's a diehard Dolphin fan, and this is great for him. I like Byron Jones. You know, he's physical. He's got he's got long arms. You know, they paid him a lot of money, but you can cut him a couple years into the deal and save. You know, but you know, you're trying to send a message to your fans here. This division this year is more open than it's ever been in a couple decades here now. I really like where Miami's going here. If they can run the ball, we all know Fitz magic. They got him coming back, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're going to draft a quarterback, but if they do, and Fitzy's still the guy, you know, Fitzy can win games. We've seen that. Like, sometimes you just got to take away some of his Fitz magic, some of his throws, you know, because he just cut him down. If you limit him to throws, it's not so bad. He's won in the league. What can I say? He's won in multiple places.
Yeah, I think both these guys. I think both these teams, the Browns and the Dolphins, they're both trending up. I don't see any big glaring moves that were like, oh my god, what are they doing? You know, sometimes you see some of these teams they sign guys or they cut guys that it's just like, what are you doing?
They brought in starters though, like Van Noy. He's won with New England,
100%.
Super Bowl, so that's great. He's been with this head coach, knows what he wants. You know, I think that's great value for him and them. You know, you need leaders.
That's what it is at the end of the day.
And he's a starter. Like, they're bringing in starters, so everything Miami does with these 3 first-round picks, like, and the alternate to be players, is all more depth. And the better you are, you need depth to win in the league, period.
100%.
So I love it. I love what Miami's done. You know, maybe they spent a little bit more than I like, but, like, even, Shaq Lawson, you know, he was kind of I don't want to say outcast in Buffalo, but, like, he just didn't fit in great there, what they're trying to do.
No.
He's a Clemson... former Clemson Tiger, man. He was great in college. And I think Miami, I think they'll find the right spot for him, defensive end / outside linebacker. So I really like that too. You know, I love what Miami's done so far. So to me, like I'm like Eric, take the running back in the first round and take a tackle.
Don't
you know, but if they don't take the running back, there's going to be one there in round 2. There's a whole bunch of them. So they want a bell cow back. Come on now.
So
shout out to Ricky Williams.
Yeah. Oh god. That's coming from Patriots fans. So that's telling you guys something.
It's an interesting time, and you know who's been quiet in this division, which is kind of odd.
The Jets,
which I love.
J-E-T-S.
Nobody likes the Jets. Don't even say it. That's
what are they doing? They're just sitting back waiting. So which is odd, but we'll let them choose what they want to do.
How about those Patriots?
Dear God. So moving on from that, we're gonna go through some of our favorite signings here. You know. One of my favorite signings, and this is obviously biased, is Brian Bulaga. 3 years, 30. I think it's another 3 years, $30 million contract.
Good deal for both sides.
Older guy, I understand. You know, not a young cow anymore, but at the end of the day, he is a professional football player playing on the offensive line for the Chargers. That is more than I could ask last year at any point. It almost seemed.
You guys are gonna beat that lineup in the draft.
Yeah,
year.
so you know you already have Trey Turner. You get you get Pouncey back at center. You know, throw Bulaga on that line. You know, maybe draft a tackle or a guard at some point. And then, you know, obviously free agency's not done. I love that signing. So.
Not that he's trying to say people not the sexiest, you know, it's an offensive lineman, but Bulaga is just a beauty.
And, you know, he's protected, you know, Aaron Rodgers for all these years. He can protect Tua when we get him, so.
Keep dreaming.
And then my other one, this is almost like a hope thing, because I'm not really sure. So the Bears went out, cut Leonard Floyd, and they go and grab Robert Quinn. So Robert Quinn, what would that be, 5-6 years ago? He was electric, and you know he had that.
He was pretty good this year for.
And then this year he goes to the Cowboys.
Yeah, he was pretty good for the Cowboys.
Does a 360. Seems like he's really coming on again. I don't love the 5 year 70, but
a little bit of an overpay there.
A little bit, but if he's back to healthy, if he can make a difference, you know the Bears are really gonna like that. The Bears also do a lot of weird stuff.
They got good defense.
I don't understand why you bring in to be honest, so far the Bears have done. You'd almost think that their GM just came out of
Coma?
time machine or coma. There you go, from 6 years ago, and said, "Know who I need to get? I need to get Robert Quinn, and we're gonna get Jimmy Graham." And there we go. We're gonna be.
Oh yeah, Jimmy Graham. I totally forgot about that.
He is terrible now.
Well, it's kind of surprising too because they've got a pretty good tight end. I know he's banged up this year. I played for the Eagles. I'm trying to think of his name. Anyways, he was a backup to Hurts for a while. Anyways, he's pretty good. And I was kind of hoping he'd go somewhere else, Jimmy Graham, to be honest.
I was hoping he was
second fiddle.
I almost hope he'd retire, but so who are two of the guys that you really like that have been signed so far that's not somebody we've named yet?
All right, one of my faves is, and I've talked to Eric about this for a week now. It's kind of sad. Is Josh Norman.
Loves it.
He was released by Washington. He was a stud for the Panthers for years. So, anyways, he's coming over, and what's it? It's
Tre'Davious White.
No, what's that? What's the? Yes, Tre'Davious White for sure. But so he's gonna match up with White, and these two guys are gonna be really good together. Trust me, like these two guys are still premium corners.
It's
White is a top 5 corner.
And then that's it, right? So
Personally,
Norman
that's what I
doesn't
think.
have to be the number one anymore, which is perfect.
Exactly, but like his Batman and Robin, like a perfect example right here. The Bills get better. Plus, he's familiar with this head coach because he was the defensive coordinator when Norman was in Carolina.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of his name, Sean.
McDermott. We did this last.
Anyways, this is great stuff. Like a signing like this essentially helps Buffalo